everybody, this is your girl T with Pillow Talk with T, and this month we're going to be doing breast cancer awareness and also domestic violence. And I have a guest on here, and her name is Ricki Robinson. And so I want her to tell us a little bit about herself, and she's going to also tell us about domestic violence. And so we're going to get started. Introduction.
Well, hello everyone. I am Ricki Robinson, also known as the Emerging Butterfly. And so I am a domestic violence survivor, but not only a survivor, I'm also a person on purpose. And so I love to be able to show people that they can work and operate in purpose and not in sorrow.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Tell us about kids, family.
Yes, I am a mother, birthed out of me 4, and I am a bonus mom to 3. So altogether, my husband and I have 7 children, and so I'm now happily married. But of course, that's after experiencing some counterfeit in some situations in life, which has got me to where I am today. And so I'm a business owner of Ricki's Creative Concept, which is a graphic stationery design and marketing company, and I also do a lot of contract work with the city doing addiction recovery, Narcan training, things of that nature, and a lot of community service work. And one more thing.
Go ahead.
I am a Kingdom Hour co-host on the Kingdom Hour radio show as well.
So you do podcasting also?
Yeah, podcast, radio. I really don't consider podcasts because I just really be myself. So I feel like sometimes podcasts, I have a mic in front of it. I just feel like I don't want the mic sometimes. I just want to talk. So I like the fact that I don't have a mic right here. I feel like I'm just having a conversation.
Well, yeah. Okay, then. All right.
Yes.
So we're going to go on and talk about some domestic violence.
Okay.
Kind of tell us about some of the things that you've been through with domestic violence.
So for me, domestic violence is not just physical, it's also mental. So at the age of 17, I was pregnant. I'm a teenage mother. And so right after I had my baby, I began to experience domestic violence from a form of physical and mental abuse. But it wasn't just physical and mental abuse. It was also manipulation. It was cheating. And of course, we all know when men cheat and they get caught, they always trying to turn the tables on you some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. So as a young child, I saw that growing up in my family. But what I did experience on my own was because I was 17 years old trying to see how I can make sure that my children doesn't, or my child at the time doesn't see me go through this a whole lot. So eventually left her dad when she was 2 years old. But prior to then, it was physical abuse. It was dragging me upstairs. It was, of course, cheating. He will be different people in the streets and one person to me. And when I mean different people, he'll have a different name, even when he introduced himself to other females and things of that nature. And I had to see that, I had purpose in my life. And I never forget when my baby was a newborn, I cried on the toilet. And I was like, God, why me? Why am I experiencing this right now? Like, why me? And I heard God say, why not you? And I didn't hear that particular voice again until 2021. That it's the same. I asked God, why me in a situation? And I heard him say to me, you are my daughter. Why not you? And sometimes we are out here trying to fix other people when God told us, I've already sent my son to die on the cross for you. So why are you out here trying to fix someone that is always enjoying seeing you hurt and pain? And so after seeing that wasn't working for me in my life, I left her dad when she was 2 years old, and I never looked back.
Okay. Did you experience any more domestic violence? Or?
Absolutely. And one thing I noticed too is some people do when they are separated from their baby daddies, they always go back and try to test the waters. Like something changed.
You know what? A lot of people do that.
Yeah, they do. They're like, girl, he's still my baby daddy. We just got a little bit here and there. I never looked back. And I finally married again when I was 23. Well, I never married him. Let me start that over. I never married him, but I finally got married the first time, and I was 23 years old. And so that marriage was good for the first 8-9 years. And then of course things start to happen and things in our life changes, and we have different seasons. So when I call seasons, it could be spring, summer, winter, or fall. It can last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a couple of years. And so our seasons of our marriage begin to change. We had infidelity issues from his side and from me. I cheated as well, and that became something that was so hard and heavy in our life, we didn't know how to overcome it. And when he found out about my affair, which he already had cheated 2 or 3 times before that, but when he found out about mine, I told on myself. And so he saw the text message, for your Father's Day gift, you had to change your hair color back, and he kind of asked me who the person was. I could have lied and say it was a coworker, but I truly felt there was so much freedom in being able to say, That's somebody I messed with 2 years ago. And I was openly thinking it was going to make our relationship better, but it actually made it worse.
So what happened?
Oh, girl, I got my butt whooped. Whoop. I got whooped. But it didn't happen immediately. It was physical, but it was also verbal abuse at first. So it was almost like if you call my name, it would be like, itch. What you doing now? Like, it was like still saying my name. It was just using a curse word in place of it. Or, you ain't doing nothing else but to go over there and pay my goddamn phone bill. It was just very harsh. It was just saying things just to hurt you. And I'm sitting at Chick-fil-A with my kids like, well, let me let them play some more because I can't go home right now. He sound like he is just on 10. And it had been happening for about a week after I had told him. And I came home that night and he asked me, can we talk? And we literally talked for about 2 hours. And as we were talking for about 2 hours, he was like, so what made you do it? I said, a lot of times, sometimes when I have car issues, you get mad. Like, you would just be like, oh my God, your car broke again. And I said, one day my car broke at work. And he helped me. He actually saw me when you didn't. And, I said the word that most people wouldn't even say. I was like, and sometimes we have sex, I don't even have an orgasm. Girl, you shouldn't have said that. I was being honest, and I was thinking it was gonna make a change in our life, and it didn't. And literally, I got beat bad that day. Like, literally, I had a taser on the side of me. I had my phone, but when I say he punched me from my eye to my head, on my back, and then spit on me and said, I don't care who you call. You call your mama, your daddy. I hope you die and get cancer, and I'm going to come spit on your grave. And literally, immediately, I knew it wasn't him. I knew it was a demonic force. Because when someone that cares about you and they do that to you, they can't just go to sleep. They're going to be agitated in such a way where, like, okay, oh my God, I just made a mistake. He immediately went to sleep. And the moment I heard him move and go to sleep and I heard that snore, I exit the room. With my blanket. And when he realized that I was no longer in the room, it wasn't 5 minutes. Y'all know I'm black, right? I may look a little Asian. But the moment he realized I wasn't there, he called my name, Rashonda. Nah, I ain't white. I'm black. I laid there with that cover like this, like, oh, I'm acting like I'm asleep, Lord. I'm acting like I'm asleep. I know I'm in pain, but I'm acting like I'm asleep. And he literally stood over me with his fist. I could see it from my eyes. He was standing with his fist about 5 minutes, and I don't know what was about to happen to me. And I was just praying like, Lord, please don't let this man kill me. And from that moment forward, and I didn't realize this, and I'll get to that part of the story. I didn't realize what happened then. It just was revealed to me last year. And when I say this, God, sometimes you can go through things and God will take that memory from you. And when you're ready to face it, he will bring it back to you at the right time. And what happened was he made me give him oral sex right then and there, and then told me to swallow.
Because of the orgasm, or is it because of the cheating? Or could it be all together?
I think it was because he was just mad, and I'm trying to understand what sex and mad you had to do with anything, because now how you on hard, and I just told you this a couple hours ago. Because
a lot of times, that's just me, hurt people. So by him finding out that you cheated, even though he had cheated, but still it just do something to a man. I'm just being honest. It just do something. It just changed the whole atmosphere. It was, one of my friends was telling me that he cheated, but when his lady cheated, he said, T, I couldn't even have sex with her no more.
Yeah.
It's that mental that, yes, exactly.
And so what ended up happening was that happened, and I realized I kind of buried that. And it wasn't until the next day when the police was called, someone haven't heard from me in a while, and they pretty much kind of did a wellness check because I didn't answer my phone. My daughter seeing my face like, Mama, what happened? Because my kids were at home when this happened. It was late at night. And so the next morning he left and went to somewhere, and the police came. By the time he came back home, the police showed up, and I opened the door, and they immediately saw my face. And they was like, if the person that did that to your face, they're in the house right now. And I was like, yes. They said, do you have children here? I was like, yes. There was, until my daughter came to the door, and it was like, well, where's your sisters? Where's your siblings? She was in the house. They grabbed your siblings. And they immediately brought us to a police car. And they asked me this prime question, do we have any weapons? And I was like, yes. The moment I said yes to that, they called backup. And by this time, we have about 20 cars of police surrounding our house was on the corner. And I can say this, that the police officers do lie. They do kind of coerce how they want the other police officer to react. Because as he was outside, he was trying to sick the dogs on the police officer, and he also had something black in his hand, which was his phone. So when I was trying to call him to tell him, hey, look, just come in, he was mad. Of course, he's hot, got a house full of police. He know what happened the night before. And I'm telling him, hey, just put the phone down, you know, put the dogs up, put the phone down, just come out and talk to the police officers. And he was like, man, I don't give what they say. Right. I ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just, that's what he said. The police officer called over the radio and said something totally different. He said, F us, he'll kill us. And of course, that gave because he said it over the radio, and my kids listening like, that's not what he just said. Like, we all looking in the car like, wait, that's not what he said. But because of this police officer that was corrupt, he chose to make the situation way worse than what it was. Even though, yes, I was abused, but at the end of the day, it caused the situation to escalate even higher. Where he was tased, he went to jail. And of course, it caused a lot of turmoil within our family. His sister tried to always jump on me, run me offside the road. His mama, over time, after we tried to make things work, after the fact, after he got out of jail, after a couple of days of that, his mama came to the house and jumped on me and my daughter. So I'm here, I'm fighting him, my daughter fighting her, and you know, it was just like a big turmoil.
Did he get any time?
No, he actually went to jail twice for domestic violence, and I found myself always defending myself after that. So it would be like, if you did something, I was tasing. The first time I didn't do anything, but after that, I just had a bad tase, and I had to protect myself at all costs. But I saw that it wasn't getting any better.
Toxic.
It was becoming very toxic. And so the first two people he cheated on me with, they was no longer a factor. But now there was a new person that came into the picture, and I realized that we always as women try to make the issue about the other woman, but my issue shouldn't have never been with her. It always would have been with him. And so because I have the spirit of discernment, and because I was so transparent, I know God set me on a path to be able to know how to forgive even when someone's not sorry. Right. And so one day he was supposed to come home, and he wasn't home, and I went to my friend's house. I was like, I thought you said he was here. She said, well, he should have went. He had to go left or right. And I was like, if he would have went left, I would have ran directly into him if he just left. But if he went right, he never knew I knew where the girl stayed. And that moment, I said, well, I know where he went. And I went straight to her apartment. I knew the building number and everything. And when I tell you God directed, my phone was on 3%. And I was on the phone. She said, girl, he's not there. I said, yes, he is. And I pulled up, and I passed the car up, came back, and God said, look right. I look right, and it was him and her sitting in the driveway, bagged up in the parking lot of the apartment complex. And I said, well, I found them. And I was like, I'll call you back. She was like, you not finna get off the phone with me. I said, yes, I am. And I literally just put my car in park and walked all over to the car. And he was so nervous, he rolled the window down while she's sitting in the car. And I was able to reach my hand in there, turn off the ignition, and he grabbed my hand like, what are you doing? I'm like, what you doing? And of course, because me and her had a few words before, I had found out about her prior to the situation. It was kind of toxic between she and I. And me and her got into a verbal altercation, but he ended up leaving me there, and to the point where I jumped in my car and I backed up. I could have killed everybody that was coming behind me because they were throwing stuff at my car. I could have been in jail right now for attempted murder or murder, but God saw something different in me. He wanted me to have a heart for people, and he got me out safely. And so by the moment I caught up with him at the red light, I was like, so you left me back there to get jumped on? He was like, ain't nobody tell you bring your, behind back there. Like, you should have brought your stupid behind back there. You already knew. Well, you should have been at home. So I was like, so what you going? What you doing? He was like, oh, you want to know where I'm going? And he was like, follow me. And I was following him the whole way for about 10 minutes. I was like, I'm going to keep following him. And finally, God said, what you doing? I've already shown you that this is over. Like, what are you doing? You've been trying to go through this. You went through domestic violence a year ago. Y'all been fussing and arguing. The kids watching y'all fuss and argue. What are you doing? All I wanted her to do was get out the truck. And I finally called her on the phone. I said, listen, all I wanted you to do was get out the car. And she was like, I don't care what you think, you don't want to know the stuff I did in the truck. And I was like, I don't care. However you want, in the back seat, hotel, front seat, all I want you to do is you can come get the rest of your stuff out the house. I already been to your house. And I'm like, okay. we're not doing this. And that was the last time I ever called her phone, because God showed me your issue wasn't with her, your issue was with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we separated, and we went our separate ways. And for a while, our relationship was very hard. It was a hard conversation, especially because we were raising children separately. He lost his job. He blamed me for losing his job because, of course, now you didn't went to jail twice for domestic violence, and of course records and things of that nature. And they have worked on that. But I can say the change happened when she called me a couple of years ago, and woman to woman, she wanted to know what it is that she can do to have a healthy relationship with him. And I tell you right now, to this day, me and her talk more than I do to him. And we are actually, I'm gonna say friends. I know people take that word friends, but I pretty much have her. I have her back, and she have mine, because we have kids, and they're engaged now to be married.
Okay, then wow. So, but that's a good thing. So how's the relationship with you and him?
But we're cordial. I see him. We go to my daughter's game or something like that. I see him. We had a child to graduate, 2 kids to graduate, because we had 3 kids together. And honestly, God had to show me that I had to have the heart of him. And so a lot of times we walk around with a hardened heart simply because of the issues of others. And what made our relationship harder was because other family members got involved and made situations worse. Whether or not it be his mom or his sister and anything like that. And I'm not mad at any of them. If I see them in public today, I'm still, hey, how y'all doing? They may not speak back, but I still do my part, because I still represent something bigger. And sometimes we, as family, with domestic violence, we cause more chaos in our families than anything. I saw domestic violence in my family growing up. All of my uncles were killed and murdered by other family members.
Because of domestic violence?
Just in general, just because of just violence in general. So I know that those things, my auntie committed suicide because her husband cheated. You get what I'm saying? So just seeing these things as a child growing up, and I'm saying to myself, okay, this can't be me. This won't be me. What can I do to make it different? And so what was the hardest thing for my children was like, okay, mama, you struggling, daddy's struggling. Y'all might well just get back together. She's 20 now. She just did not want to see us separated. Like I can't see y'all not being together, because we didn't have this issue from what they could understand.
Right.
But I can tell you that we divorced, and we began to just kind of try to co-parent. We had some hard conversations, some hard moments in that situation. But now today, because I have the heart of God, and I want my kids to express their love, I know that she treats my kids with respect. I treat her children with respect. And I want to make sure that they know that they have a unity of family, what love and true bond is all about. So just because you are separated from a person doesn't mean that you can't continue to build a relationship with them.
Right.
You have to have the heart of God in order for you to go forward. And so that's how I see things. Like, I want my kids to be successful, and I want them to see that my mama did not just keep up chaos. She tried to keep the peace. She separated her ways and went elsewhere. And so that was my first marriage. And so today, like I stated, we are in a place where we can communicate effectively without any drama, and we take things in our own way of being able to deal with them.
Okay, so how many times you been married?
I don't know if the second one even counts. The first one, I can't even remember how long we was married. It's just so like a block to me. Like, so I said, how long you was married the first time? I said, I think 10, 11, 12, 13. We got married in 2003. And so I found out he was cheating in 2014. That situation happened in 2013. So I don't remember, girl. I don't know. We went through some things. But at the end of the day, my second marriage, oh Lord, that was an eye-opener for me, because that was physical, mental, not just for me, but also for my children. So I met someone a couple of years after I divorced. I was, I guess, being Stella got a groove back, girl, trying to be out there, moved out of our house that we lived in, had me an apartment, just, enjoying life for what I thought was going to be my life, going out, looking where I'm going to go and have fun at, and just being able just to be me. And honestly, what ended up happening was that I met someone, and I thought it was somebody that I was going to truly have a life with. And that's because of what they did in the community. They were, they had a nonprofit organization, or they still do have a nonprofit organization. They help father children and mentor fathers and children. And so I thought that was a great thing, because of course I have kids, right? And so I see the things you're doing in the community with children and fathers, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I ended up getting sick with meningitis a few months after I met him. And so I was in the hospital and unconscious for 5 days.
Wow.
And so meningitis, when I woke up, that was the person that brought me home. I didn't know all of my kids' name up front 100%. Some things wasn't adding up 100% for me, but I do know that I was unconscious for 5 days. And so when things started to come together, he was there. And so some things were happening. I thought it was just my memory or my mind. But I realize now that me laying down with that spirit.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was abuse.
That was a spirit, a demonic spirit, to try to cast me out of this world. Because one of the biggest things I wanted to speak of when I was 17 was to speak about domestic violence and let teenagers know that they do not have to stay with their baby daddy or this guy they just met because they had a child with them. And so I always wanted to go and talk with teenagers about teenage abuse and relationships, because that's where I came from. Because do you not know, whatever God pulls you out of, he give you dominion over it. And I never took my dominion. I just ignored it and covered it up. And I went into my next relationship. And for years, that was great until it wasn't, until those seasons began to change.
You know what? I've talked to several women with domestic violence, you know, and one of the situations I talked to is that this woman, she was beat bad for 4 days and 4 nights. She actually died, and, you know, and the man brought her back to life. But when she tries to get in a healthy relationship, it's not working for her because she's used to people beating her. And so, therefore, this man, he didn't touch her. Guess who was the abuser? She was, because she's so used to it. And I always sit there and say a lot of times it's the different person, it's the same spirit. You feel what I'm saying?
So I always say you can experience the same thing from a different person. But if you don't have the heart of God, when you have the heart of God, you can receive it differently. So my husband now has not abused me, has not cheated on me or anything like that, and I'll go into that in a few minutes. But because now I know his story of what he used to do or how he was out there at one point in his life, I now experience, I don't regret marrying my second husband because it helped me to gain the strength in my wings for me to break free from all things that was toxic. I didn't realize I was just a caterpillar just crawling in dark places. In order for a caterpillar to break free out of the cocoon, they have to have the strength of their wings. And so my wings wasn't strengthened. It was only strengthened while me going through these experiences of life. And so when I married the second person, well, when I was with the second person, I was with him for like 3 years. And during COVID, he had me all to himself. I was able to be at the house cleaning and cooking, you know, taking care of his daughter, doing things for the family. And so I thought things were kind of coming to a path, but I was still being questioned about what kind of mother I was. You know, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But again, my cognitive thinking was off. So I'm thinking it was me. And it wasn't until I began to start healing my mind and seeing how my children were now affected again by seeing their mama being mistreated. Because again, once they got mad with me, they wanted to have sex. You know, sex was a good thing. That was like okay, yeah, I treated you bad earlier. I didn't want to be bothered with you, but let's go ahead and do this now. And that was the thing. But that was something that fed that spirit. And I know when I laid down with them before I got meningitis, that was they were actually battling. I want her. I know I want her. Like God, the devil was going back and forth in my spirit. Like, you know what? When I woke up, God say, you said you was going to do the work and be able to be the voice, but you never took up the throne. And I was like, God, I could have died. I could have, literally, I wasn't shot. I wasn't killed. I wasn't raped. I wasn't stabbed. I wasn't in a car wreck. I didn't have a terminal illness. For all I knew, I was just sleeping with fluid on my brain, having seizures. I had to do a spinal tap. And for all I knew, I was just yet sleeping. And God could have just pulled the plug and said, I'm going to go ahead and take you home. But there was more work for me to do. So I made a promise to God that I will do the work of you. But doing that work, I had to also go through some work and work on myself and be able to see where I needed to be in life. And so I ended up marrying that particular guy.
So let me ask you something. Back it up. But he was mental abuse, right?
He was mental and physical. He became physical at the end. His mental was more dramatic his mental was horrible. It was mental for me, my children. The physical portion came, and his physical portion he pushed to happen. Like he would choke me or jump on top of me or something like that. And because of the triggers that I've had before, I literally would karate kick or kangaroo kick trying to be able to do something. I remember one time he jumped on me and he began to choke me. This is my second marriage. He was choking me, and I had my keys on the side of the bed, and I took my keys and I slapped him across the face. So of course he had a slash right here. And the moment he did this and saw blood, oh, I'm about to get your ass out of here now. Oh, I'm about to get you now. I'm about to call. And he began to call 911. So when the sheriff came, I called my sister. I was like, hey, look, here's my credit card information. I'm about to go to jail. I'm about to go to jail. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how what's going to happen next, but I'm about to go to jail. Because she knew I was going through some things. And when the sheriff came and talked to me inside after they talked to him, she said, well, based on what you just said, both of y'all can go to jail. I said, well, ma'am, let me know what I need to do. Because I've never been to jail before. I'm too cute for that. But hey, that's what I have to do. That's what I have to do. But I saw myself going on I'm going to say a tangent of snap. Because some of the things that were happening, I kept questioning myself. Am I valuable? Am I enough? What am I not doing? Like if I was cooked food and he was mad with me, I would literally pack his lunch. Because that's what he wanted to be catered to. I would pack his lunch. He was mad. He'll leave it in the refrigerator. And I get toxic text messages. I ain't eat all day because you ain't have my food. Or if he was mad, he'll just throw so have you had your purse right there? He'll just leave the lunch bag right by the trash can. Just because, and then just be able to blame it on you that you didn't do whatever the case may be. The mental. It was walking on eggshells.
That's what I was going to say. Walking on eggshells all the time.
Not knowing if you said something that was going to trigger. But anytime that he had the opportunity to be fed, and when I say fed, he'd get fed every day when he do something in the community. Somebody saying, oh my God, he did such a good job. That organization is doing so many wonderful things for fathers and children. But they never check the fruit. If you got 6 kids, and I only met 1.5 in the 3 years I've been with you, and nobody's asking a question of where your other kids at. If I said I had 4 kids and you only see me post 1, you're going to be like, where your other children at? And I'm always on social media posting, so check the fruit. But a lot of times, a lot of people out here, we do what we call check off on MOUs. We give donations and grants and not even checking the fruit that the tree is bearing because the fruit went bad long time ago. And my thing is, I believe a person can change, but they have to have the conviction of God to truly change. And so if you don't have that conviction from God and you continue doing the same thing to multiple women, it is an issue. And honestly, the reason why he told me he married me, after we got married, after our wedding was called off 4 or 5 times, it was called off from the time he proposed in May up until November. December was called off. January was called off. February. We were supposed to get married April. And that got called off too because he got sick with COVID, and we ended up getting married in May. Every time it was called off, it was always full of drama. So much so that I have a picture. He threw off his wedding ring at our reception. He don't even have his wedding ring on at the reception. We know the reception was 2 hours, 3 hours.
I think so.
Okay, so but the attention for a narcissistic person wasn't given to how he wanted it to be, and so it was always something toxic that was going, and it was so draining for my children and for myself just to kind of continue to go through this. And so just knowing how I was just going through this cycle of abuse, whether or not it was psychological, it was my children being mistreated. One time my daughter, he would put out 5 bags of chips. One time he lined the pantry so nobody could get in it, tape. 5 bags of chips and so many food roll-ups. That's what you had for the day. And my daughter got a popsicle. So he texted me. He was like, did Marla ask you, can she have a popsicle? I was like, no, I'm not there. So, of course, he's watching me and how I'm going to handle this. So I got home. I said, Marla, what y'all eat today? She, I ate a sandwich and da-da-da. I said, oh, this, because I know he's watching. I said, so there's a popsicle paper in the trash. Who had that? Oh, I ate a popsicle too. I never really monitored my kids' food. And she wasn't a big girl. My daughter, she's tall. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I kind of like, I said, well, you're supposed to ask for the popsicle. That was his rules. And so when I went to the room, that wasn't good enough. And literally, it was the biggest argument and fight. Like, so that's all you're going to do? So basically, you're going to let it just slide from either. So basically, I wasn't being a good mother because I didn't give her a consequence. The word consequence, I truly hate to this day. Because if I hear in the word integrity and consequence, that's what I was drilled in my head. Okay. And so he called all the kids to the kitchen. And he was like, he had the laptop, and he said, read this. And so, integrity, doing what is right when no one is watching. Madison, doing what is right, no one is watching. So she had him to read this definition, and then just pulled out 3 trash bags and told him to throw everything in the trash that was sweet, from the pantry to the refrigerator. I had just went to Sam's and spent like $200 on snacks. We had ice cream. They had 3 trash bags full of sweets. And my kids looking at me like, Mom, we really about to throw this stuff away? And I'm looking like, shh. Because I know he wants y'all to get upset. He's looking for a reason to really, truly make me upset. But he want to lash out. So if y'all, I said, just be quiet, just don't say nothing. And they threw the snacks away. And they all went to their room like, man, mama gone. Like, we don't know what, this ain't my mama. Like, this is not what we signed up for, you know. And it was other things that happened. One time my daughter was gone. Both of them, all of them was gone to their dad's house. And if he had me to himself, again, sexual catering, fine. They went that Friday. It's Sunday. We had a great weekend. Long as he could cook outside, we watching TV, watching movies, eating ice cream. The moment I went to go pick up my children, I was gone 30 minutes. I came back. They was like, Mom, what's wrong with our door? I said, what's wrong with your door? He had took all the door hinges off of the doors of my kids' bedroom. And I was like, what happened to the kids' bed? I just left it 30 minutes ago. The doors were fine. You give your kids everything. They need to earn the right to close the door up in here. And for me, I'm thinking to myself, that is something that the child closed the door, mama, F you, F him, and they slamming doors. But for you just to go and intentionally to poke a bear, to take the door, and I was like, girls, just don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. And it stayed like that for 2 weeks until his daughter came and was like, Dad, what's wrong with the doors? And that's when he put the door latches back on.
So let me ask you a question. Because I know good as well, like, me personally, I can't sit there now. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to listen. I just be trying to figure out, and it happens to a lot of women, to a lot of also men too. Why do you stay in an abusive relationship when a man is abusing you and he abuse your kids? Why do women stay in that?
I could tell you, for me, it was I was not thinking clearly. And because I went through it before, I was trying to fix someone that was not that didn't want to be fixed. And honestly, it's not my job. God already died on the cross for our sins. So why am I trying to play God in this situation? I already saw the red flags. Red flags don't turn blue, black, or green.
It doesn't. And we avoid the red flags. The red flags is right there. So the reason why I'm saying that, and because look at this really, really clearly. Because you've been through one abuse to another abuse to another abuse. And what people fail to realize is that we try to fix other people, but we need to be fixed. Right. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I even had to learn that my own self. You know what I'm saying? It's because I've talked to men's broken homes. Don't know, I only had one parent. Me, I had 2 parents. My father sit at the head of the table. We all that domestic violence, if it came from my dad, no, my daddy didn't. So when it comes to certain situations, and when I talk to, men, I be trying to fix them and realize I can't even fix them. If you broken, you broken. That's not for me. I can't heal you. I'm not God. Mm-hmm. But I realize when you do that, it only breaks you down. It's like you're putting, they got 50 bricks up under them. You're putting another 50 bricks up under them. Makes them be 100. So where are your 50 at? You 50 and they're 100. And you can't fix somebody. You can only guide them. That's just like you're giving advice to me. I'm giving advice to you. When you walk out that door, it's up to you if you want to take the advice. I even had to learn that my own self, like, hey, you know what? It's on you. Look, if you want to talk to me, then talk to me. If you give me an energy that you don't want to talk, guess what? I'm giving that energy back to you. I don't want to talk either. I have done that. And it comes to the point, you don't call me, I don't call you. Maybe because where my mind is set, and I'm not saying that I'm going to be a tough or a strong woman, but my thing is that I'm not going to sit there and keep on depositing if I can't withdraw. I'm not going to sit there and have you bashing and beating on me and I got to go to work. Mm-hmm. First of all, I love myself. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not even going to lie. When I sit there and say I love myself, I really do love myself. And therefore, I'm not going to tolerate the foolishness. I'm not going to tolerate, because guess what? It took me a long time to get right where I'm at. And I don't need nobody to tear it down. When you go through all that mental and physical abuse, and you have children, your kids are watching because you're the role model.
That's correct.
And so I always wonder why women stay in the abusive relationships. When you got to look at yourself as getting hit and having a black eye. I'm not understanding this when you got to go to your job and you got to face other people and you got to black out, but you still with this person. You're telling this person that you love them all day, and here it is, they beating the mess out of you. I'll just be trying, and I understand that love is blind, but at this point, at certain points, some people don't make it out of domestic violence because they make excuses. We make excuses. We try to sugarcoat. We try to do all that, and I know that a lot of women and people gonna watch. Why do you stay in?
So for me, I stayed in that first relationship for my children, because I was raised in a single parent household. I didn't have my mom and dad, but I had a great relationship with my dad. So for me, I wanted to have my children to be raised by their mother and their father. Well, that didn't work. So when I got into a second relationship and I saw that this person had a nonprofit organization that was the mission to help father and mentor children, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is where I need to be at, because they are, family man, but they never been married before. They were raised in a single parent household, as well. So some of the things, they didn't have their father in their life. So now they're teaching other fathers. Okay, well, maybe some things. And I was there every step of the way trying to see how I can help with that organization as well at the same time. So for me, in the second situation, I was paying attention because I've been through the abuse the first 2 times. I'm paying attention, like, okay, this is not where I need to be. This is not healthy for my children. Now my kids are older. They're in high school, middle school. They're paying attention. They're seeing their mama continue being mistreated. What am I teaching my children about survival? What am I teaching my children? And God gave me these words: you are the treasure in this earthly vessel. You are above and not beneath. And the moment I married him thinking that things were going to change, but only to see that it only got worse. In those 8 months that I stayed in that marriage, it got worse every day. It would be times that things would last for a couple of hours if he was upset, but it got times it was days. Then it became weeks, and it was just like flipping a switch. He'll be one person one time, another next. You would never know what person you'll get, and I could not continue to allow my kids to walk into that, especially with cameras being placed around the house. I don't know what you're watching, because you're watching them through the rest of the house. If I went to Walmart, it was so controlling. I said I'm going to get some bread, and I came back with 10 bags. I thought you was going to get milk and bread. Like, where you going? What's all that? So it was even to the point where I had to sneak in groceries, because it's like, okay, like, are you looking on the camera? And then finally got so smart to the point he put a black mark on top of the camera where I couldn't tell if he was looking, because what a red mark was, if you're looking, it was red, and if you're talking, it was blue. So it was red and blue. He put a black mark on top of that, so I couldn't even tell if he was looking or not. So it began to be, I'm like, okay, do you got a camera in my kid's room or in the bathroom? It's something's telling me there's a reason why your other kids are not around, why that mother, and to the world you were telling people that I'm alienated from my kids, that she won't let me see my kids. And when I begin to do my research, she sent letters of where the kids are, what they're doing, where they're living, their address, what school they go to. She's sending you text messages. You have home block. So to the world, you're telling people that I'm alienated and I'm helping fathers that are alienated, and the parents won't let the kids see their fathers. But really and truly, did you do something to your oldest daughter that I'm unaware of? That caused them to say, we don't want to have nothing to do with you at all. So I had to start looking and doing more research on why these things were happening. And I had to look at my children and say, I have to be here for my kids. Because if not, I can see myself. I drove to Baton Rouge General thinking I was going to check myself in a mental institution, because I was really confused. I was confused on which decision I should make and how I should make them. And it wasn't until my daughter overheard a conversation. This was Christmas Eve, 2021, and we got into it, and he said, if I treat you so effing bad, why the hell you still here? And my daughter's room was 2 rooms down. We had the washroom in the other room, and she was like, Mama, I don't want to go to Daddy's house this weekend. And I was like, why not? She said, I heard what he said, and I'm scared for your life. I'm like, Mom, I'm really scared. Like, I don't trust him. And I said, I would be okay. And it wasn't then, and honestly, even to this day, I know my husband's password to his phone, the real Robinson. I had to go through that in a minute. Let me just say it now. My second marriage last name was Robinson, but I was a counterfeit. So I'm remarried to another Robinson, not cousins. Marrying the right Robinson is my hashtag, so that's why. But and so I was like saying to myself, like, I can't understand why this is going on. So my daughter, she didn't want to go, so I told her go ahead and go, and she went to their dad's house, and that weekend was horrible. But I went through his phone while he was in the shower, and he was texting his sister about I'm gonna try to file a 102 or 120 or something like a separation. He was trying to get me evicted out the home. And basically, she just mad she's not gonna be able to enjoy this soaking tub. And it was like he was telling me one thing, but he was telling his family something else. And he was asking his cousin for like attorneys and stuff like that. I'm looking at the phone like, this dude trying to have me evicted out of our house. That's another story for another day too, of how the house came about as well. But I'll say that for another time. But I'm like, he trying to have us evicted out the house? Like, what do you mean? Technically, we're married. So how you going to have us evicted? So you really telling me you and your sister really coercing this plan to try to have me and my kids evicted out the house? And you telling me one thing, but I love you so much and I want this. And so I told God I needed a break. I said, God, I need concrete answers. I need to know what I need to do. And when I say God broke me, he broke me from Christmas Eve. On the 24th of Christmas that year, the 26th was horrible. The 27th, I went looking for a church because Christmas fell on the Saturday that year. A lot of people weren't having church that Sunday. So I went looking for churches that was open and none was really open. So I went downtown, Baton Rouge, and I sat down there for a couple of hours and I began to write to God. And my first thing I wrote was, what does brokenness feel like? And I started off, I said, I feel like I'm a shoe that just stepped in a pile of crap, and every time that the person wanted to shit, they did it right on me. I felt like a wet paper towel. Every time they wanted to use the paper towel, they would wet it, wipe up what they wanted, lay it out flat, and the next day it's going to be dry again to be reused. And so I began, how can I expect someone that is supposed to be a great man of character to treat me and my children right when they don't even do the same for their own kids? How can I expect this to be my journey? And God began to pour into me. I literally had to break it down for myself. And I prayed the next morning about 4 o'clock that morning. God woke me up and said, it's time. And he was coming through the door. And every day he would come through the door. I act like I was asleep sometime. And he would go through my phone. And I would just watch him crawl on the floor, grab my phone offside the charger. A few times I just let him go in the bathroom and look at what he wanted to look at. And this particular night, I just went in the kitchen. I said, we never got this house prayed for. And he was just on the phone in the door looking at me. And I was like, he started handing me the phone back. I was like, I didn't take it off the charger. When you finish with it, just put it back. I'm finna go back to sleep. I said that because I knew God was giving me a peace. God woke me up to let me know he's on his way home because he worked overnight. He's on his way home. Get prepared. And I laid there until I said, God, I'm going to lay here till you give me my answer. And it wasn't until that day that someone called me asking for a favor for a funeral program. And I said, you know anybody got any rent houses? Ricki, you just moved in a beautiful house. I said, don't ask no questions. I'm asking you a question. Do you know anybody have any rent houses? And I ended up, she told me yes. And I talked to the guy that day, did my application. And about 2 o'clock, he was like, I don't know why you're not going to buy a house, but this is the house available. If you got the money to pay your deposit and your first month rent. I was like, yes, I do.
And that was the breaking point for you.
That was the breaking point. The door had been open. I had already been looking for apartments, but they weren't big enough. And it was just that moment. I had the money. I was planning on going to stay with my mom. That was really what I saved the money for, to give my mom a house fix. And literally, it was almost like I gave God my yes for my amen today. And that Wednesday, I was able to call him. I said, I'll be out by January 15th. That was the breaking point because of what my daughter heard. It wasn't even a cheating. It wasn't a disrespect because he cheated. He abused, physical abuse. It wasn't that. It was what my daughter overheard. What got me to say, oh my God, Ricki, snap out of it. And God gave me what I needed at that time. And that house became my cocoon. It became my place of peace. I broke free to the point where I hired my own, some people move in U-Hauls. I hired my own moving company. Sure did. Professional. I was just going to point to tell them which room I wanted. I had saved enough money to make sure I could pay for that room. Because one of the antagonizing things he would do when he'll get upset with me, he would have moving companies send me quotes. Like I would get phone calls from moving companies if we had an argument. Yes, we call and get a 4-bedroom house move. We're trying to get your quote when you wanted to move. I didn't call for a quote. I didn't do that. It would be him doing that, having people call me. And so it was like you were pushing me out the entire time. Right. So I didn't need your help to pay for my move. I didn't need your help to pay for the house. As a matter of fact, my attorney told me I couldn't have got, because he bought like 2 rent houses, a Harley Davis, and a few other things. I could have asked for half of what the mortgage was in our divorce for those 8 months we were married. So that would have been $8,000. Plus, I could have made him sell one of those rent houses, and I could have walked away with $50,000. But you know what? Peace that surpasses all understanding. I said, I just want my freedom back. I want to break free. And so when I tell people about I had to have the strength of my wings, the strengthening of my wings is to see my kids smile, to see that when I surprised them, I have a video I could share with you guys. I surprised them with the house. They had no idea about it because I told them, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And when I surprised them I end up talking to my ex-husband and his fiance. I was like, listen, I need y'all to keep the kids for a little while longer. I'm trying to find somewhere else for us to go. And they had to stay with them a little while longer until I was able to. And then he met me at the police station with the kids so I could surprise them with the house. So I was even having that kind of conversation. Like, look, I know we went through, but I'm about to surprise my kids. They thought we was going to the dentist or something like that. But I surprised my kids with a home so we can call our new cocoon. And we stayed in that home for a couple of years until we were able to get back on our feet to make sure that we were good and ready.
Well, you look good.
Thank you.
You know, you look amazing.
Thank you.
So now you remarried. And
I
everything,
am remarried.
And so everything is going good. No abuse, no nothing.
No abuse. I met my husband 6 months after that, literally June 28th. My divorce, my 6 months from being separated was June 1st. And honestly, God was taking me on a path. April 22nd, God revealed to me the journey of the butterfly. And when I started looking up about a butterfly and what a butterfly goes through, and I was like, oh my God, that's what I am. I'm a butterfly. And at the time, my hair was blonde and blue. And so I had dyed my hair blonde and blue as well prior to this. And when I met my husband, I had just taken myself on a self-healing trip. And my husband liked one of my photos. He was already my friend on Facebook. I never paid attention to him. He never liked my photo before. And he liked the photo. And it wasn't a photo. It was just a photo from the trip. And I was like, wow, this boy done made another fake page playing on my phone. Because I deleted him, blocked him and all that. And I saw his last name was Robinson. And I was like, I bet it's one of his cousins or it's him. And I said, I want to see Kenny Robinson in the Baton Rouge area. Well, I was like, I ain't about to ask. And God was like, ask. And I was like, dang, God, I'm not about to inbox this man. Before I knew it. Are you Ken? Good morning. Are you Kenny Robinson in the Baton Rouge area? Because he would have said yes. He was about to get deleted and blocked too. Okay. And he was like, no, I'm not Kenny Robinson's in the Baton Rouge area. I'm actually not from here. I'm from up north. And my last name should really be Johnson because his dad's last name was Johnson. So he was not raised by his parents. He was raised by his grandparents. And so it was a story. And he told me he had just lost his dad. And so that's what drew me to my husband because his dad had just died a few days before that message. And I was like, oh my God, my daddy and my brother also had a strange relationship at one point. And they became, close. And he told me, he said, my story is like a revolving book. You'll need 2 drinks, a box of tissue to really kind of get the whole gist of it. And I love life-changing stories. And I heard God say, call. And as he was sending me his number, I was sending him mine. So we talked on the phone for about an hour and a half. And I completely lost focus on whatever I was supposed to be doing. Because honestly, I wasn't looking to be married again. I didn't say, God, I didn't want to. So it's important for you to make sure you speak good things and not say, I don't ever want to be married again. I never said it. And we talked for about an hour and a half. I went to go pick up my sister from the airport. And later on that day, he texted me. He was like, I was just checking to see if you got yourself from the airport. And I looked at my phone. At this point, I'm like, why is this dude texting me? Like, we talked earlier. We're not going to go through this. Like, why is he texting my phone? Like, I don't really want to be bothered because I was not in a place in my life where I wanted to move forward. And we built a friendship. And one day I found myself when he went to his daddy's funeral, we talked for about 5 hours. And we had our first date a couple of weeks after that. And that date, we talked for 3 hours before we even ate. And he kept asking me, you want the steak place, and I was like, shoot. He said that Waffle House look pretty good. I said, it do look pretty good. He said, you eat Waffle House? I said, yeah, I eat Waffle House.
That's my place.
I wanted Waffle House. I said, Waffle House sound good to me. But we ended up going to this burger place that had like salads and stuff like that. But before we went, he said that was just a test because he had been meeting women that just always wanted the high things of life. They wanted to go get steak and eat here, and I was good with Waffle House, and still is to this day.
I do love Waffle House.
I'm very low key. But we began to build a friendship. And I believe some of the prayers that I was praying while I was out of town before I met my husband, the 3 things I prayed for was, Lord, protect my heart and heal my heart and my children's heart.
Thank you, Jesus.
If there's a man out there that is truly for me, I'm going to have to know without a doubt, because I had doubt with the other one. I knew the doubt. I felt the doubt, but I still kept moving forward even in those moments of doubt. And but I said, God, if you don't do nothing else for me, I know you kept me here on earth to be the voice and be the light in dark places. I say, I'm okay. You saved my life from me. I could have died in 2019. But here it is now, 2022, and I am living free, and I'm out here in Punta Cana, of all places I paid for by myself in Punta Cana. Who does that? And so people think I met my husband on vacation. I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't meet my husband on vacation. I met my husband on purpose. And some of the same prayers that my husband was praying was some of the prayers that I prayed. And what a lot of people don't know was that December, when I went downtown for those couple of hours writing, the same day after me and my husband talked, he was writing a note to his children of suicide.
Man. So as we get ready to wrap everything up, I got a question I got to ask you.
Go ahead.
It's the generation of curse. You broke that. You went from abuse to abuse to abuse. Somebody's probably watching today, probably looking. I always think I say that. Just give us something or tell them something to let them know that, hey, you can't come out of this. You don't have to keep going down the road with the abuse, because you stopped it. And that right there, well, nobody but God. I do know that. So can you also kind of like tell somebody who, just give us a little something right quick before we close out?
Yes. So I always say you're the treasure in this earthen vessel. You're above and not beneath. If someone show you that they truly do love you, they will give you the things that you need. They will see your pain, hear your story, and make sure they don't repeat the same path. For your children's sake, hear them, hear their thoughts, hear their problems, hear their issues. If your children are saying they have an issue, make sure you hear them completely. Me listening to my children in the beginning was nothing I wanted to do. But as I continued to keep pressing forward and letting them truly talk to me like I was one of their teenage friends, I was able to be the parent that can listen and not judge, but also be something that I can make sure that I'm being there for my children. And now today, because I am in a healthy relationship, my children have a great relationship with my husband today.
Thank you, Jesus.
His children, his twins, the ones I've met thus far, he has 3, but he has a set of twins, and his oldest daughter, because of my husband was not the person that he is to me right now. He was in a bad place. He was a cheater. He caused some toxicity in his previous relationships, but now because of the change heart and the change man that he is, so his oldest daughter really don't want to have anything to do with him. She calls when necessary. They text here and there, but I haven't had opportunity to meet her yet. But that doesn't mean that it's not too late.
Exactly.
Because the twins love me and I love them. His oldest daughter, his youngest other daughter stays with us as well. And my children, him and us, we have a wonderful relationship. We have a group message called The Crew, and we always have fun and in love. So for anyone that's listening today, I would like to say that to always be a listening ear to your children. Hear their issues, hear their stories, hear their cries. But I know people say you don't want to be your children's friend. But in certain situations, because mental health is real, being your children's friend is what's going to keep them living and seeing your battles, but also how you became to soar. And so I am Ricki Robinson, and when she soared, it has been my journey, and my wings are now open.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Ricki Robinson. Thank you for coming on to the set.
Thank you.
And there you go. We have it with Pillow Talk with T. So y'all know my motto. If you ain't Pillow Talking with T, then who you talking to? Just tune in on the next one. It's going to be also on Facebook. We're going to go also on TikTok and YouTube. So thank y'all. Goodbye. Be blessed. And talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.